Hello and welcome to the ScrapbookPal's YouTube channel. My name is Terry and today I will be sharing a card that I created using some products from Honeybee Stamps. So let's get started. Okay, so here is a close-up look at the die sets that I will be using today. So this first one is called Market Cart Builder. And the second one here is the Pumpkin Spice Market Cart add-on. There's actually a lot of different types of add-ons that you can purchase. I know there's a few on our website that you can take a look at, but this one is by far my favorite because it falls in a category fall and Halloween, and that's just my type of holiday. So I decided to use colored cardstocks to cut out the market cart, and I went with a color palette that resembles the fall season. And here you can see that I went ahead and die cut that off screen, and I'm going in now with the accessory add-ons. So this one is the Pumpkin Spice Market Cart add-on, and I went ahead and die cut those out of cardstock as well off screen. And you can see here all of the bits and pieces that are all included. I just love all of the little elements that this has because you can make this a spooky scene or you can make it a fall scene. And what I decided to do is I decided to stick with a fall themed card. And here you can see that I'm using liquid adhesive and I'm going in and placing all of the little bits and pieces together. Okay, so now I wanted to add a little more interest onto the colored cardstock. So my favorite trick is to use Copic markers. And I'm going in with a similar shade and just adding shadows and highlights to the cards. Okay, so the first color that I started off with is E18, and I used E18 as the darker shade to create my shadows. So going in around the area, and the nice thing is this die creates score lines in your cardstock. So you kind of have an idea of the placement of your colored markers. So then going in with the shade E09, I added the midtone, and then going in with E08, I blended that all together. And now for the body of the cart, I started out with E59 for the dark tone, then going in with E33 and E09. I blended the three colors together. And for the wheel and the handle, I went in with E59 and E33. I'm not doing anything too technical here with my color blending. The great thing about this die is that it does create an emboss onto the die cuts. So the die cut areas is really nice to follow the guides and kind of go from there. So you kind of know where to put the darker shade and the lighter shade. For the leaves and the pumpkins, I'm using YR27, YR18, G94, YG97, E18, and E51. Okay, so here you can see that I'm just playing around with the placement, trying to get an idea of how I want the layout to be on my card front. And once I was happy with that, it's time to start on my background scene. So going in with white cardstock, I'm also using the Fawn Grassy Hillside Stencil, and I'm using that on top of my Make Art station. And I love this station because it's magnetic and it holds my cardstock as well as the stencil in place nicely. So now going in with some distressed oxide inks, I'm going in with Twisted Citron first, then going in with Mowed Lawn, as well as a third green shade. This third green shade is called Rustic Wilderness, and I'm blending that onto the bottom of the cardstock. Okay, so one reason why I love using this Fawn Grassy Hillside stencil is that the top portion of the stencil is used to create a mask. So here you can see that I'm moving it downwards and placing the magnetics onto the stencil and the cardstock and going in with my blue shades to create the sky. As you can see here, the stencil is now creating a mask. So it's covering the bottom area so the blue ink doesn't get blended onto the green area. I'm using the shade Stormy Sky, Prize Ribbon, and Uncharted Mariner. After I finished blending my panel, I went in with some clean water and spritzed that all over my card panel. Then I decided to add a little more drama to the card panel. So going in with a darker shade of ink, I went around the edges of the card panel just to add a little more dimension onto the card scene. Okay, so for the sentiment, I am going in with a Colorado Craft Company stamp, and this one's called Coffee House. And I'm taking a sentiment here and I'm placing it inside of my card. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that the alignment on the card scene is exactly where I want it to be. And once I figured that out, I went ahead and removed the cards and placed that in my stamping platform and stamped that down with VersaMark Ink. But before I stamped it down with VersaMark Ink, I did use an anti-static powder tool just to swipe it around the card panel so the embossing powder doesn't stick to areas that I didn't want it to. So going in now with my VersaMark Ink, I stamped that on the sentiment. And I did went ahead and stamp it down twice just to make sure I got a clear impression. And after I was done with that, I went in with my white embossing powder and applied that over the sentiment. And then using a nice hot heat tool, I went ahead and heat set the sentiment. Okay, so now it's time to adhere everything down on the card panel. So using liquid adhesive and a tweezer, I just went ahead and placed everything on top of my card panel. Okay, so after everything was adhered onto the card panel, I adhered it onto a black matted cardstock, and I love matting my card panel onto a black cardstock. This just creates a little bit of interest onto the card front. I then went ahead and adhered it to a top folding white card base. Finally, for the final touches, I used a white gel pen and added highlights and details throughout the card panel. And that's it. That completes the card. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and please don't forget to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.